Hi, and welcome to Cenario, your partner in mental wellness. Here on our channel, we share educational, insightful, and science-backed content to help you understand your mental health and take meaningful steps toward a more balanced life. If you're ready to learn, grow, and take control of your wellness journey, let's jump right in.
Let's talk about a feeling that's way more common than you'd think, but, well, it's often really misunderstood. It's that feeling of chronic emptiness. You know, that nagging sense that something really fundamental is just missing. So in this explainer, we're going to dig into what it is, where it comes from, and most importantly, how to start finding your way out of it. You know, this quote, it just gets right to the heart of it, doesn't it? This isn't just about being sad or bored. It's a much deeper feeling of being unmoored, almost like you're just drifting without any real sense of purpose or connection to hold on to.
All right, so let's get into it. First, we're going to define what this feeling really is. Then, we'll explore some of the causes, and we'll finish up by walking through some really proven strategies for building a life that feels more meaningful.
So first things first, what exactly are we talking about when we say chronic emptiness? It's so important to have a clear definition here, because this is a whole different ballgame from just having a bad day. The real key word here is persistent. This isn't a mood that just pops in for an afternoon and then leaves. No, this is a long-term state. It's this sense of hollowness or maybe even numbing that just becomes a constant backdrop to your everyday life. And you know, this can show up in a few different ways. It might be this pervasive feeling that nothing really matters. Or maybe it's that weird, unsettling feeling of being disconnected from your own emotions, maybe even from who you are. And that often leads to a kind of emotional numbness and makes it incredibly hard to find any motivation. So you might be wondering, where does a feeling like this even come from? Well, it definitely doesn't just appear out of thin air. It's actually super complex, and it usually stems from this interplay between our inner world, our biology, and the society we're all living in. Psychologically, a lot of the time, this feeling of emptiness has roots in our past. Things like unresolved trauma, or maybe insecure attachments that were formed when we were really young. Even just having a fragile sense of who you are can create this deep internal void. And of course, chronic loneliness can make that feeling so much deeper. And then there's the biological side of things. Our brains are a huge part of the equation. Those reward and motivation systems, especially the ones that run on dopamine, play a massive role. If those pathways aren't firing the way they should, it can literally feel like the color has been drained out of your life. An overactive stress response system can make you more vulnerable to this too. And let's not forget our environment. I mean, we are constantly bombarded with messages that buying the right thing or achieving some external goal will make us happy. So when it doesn't, that emptiness can feel like a personal failure. Throw in the constant comparison game on social media and weaker community bonds, and you've got a recipe for feeling pretty empty. Okay, so that's the problem. It's heavy stuff, I know. But now, let's pivot to the solutions. Because the good news is, there are really clear, evidence-based ways to start building a life that feels meaningful and connected again. Two of the heavy hitters in therapy are dialectical behavior therapy, that's DBT, and cognitive behavior therapy, or CBT. They both tackle the problem, but from slightly different angles. DBT is great for teaching you practical skills to manage really intense emotions and improve your relationships. CBT, on the other hand, is more focused on changing behaviors and challenging those hopeless, self-critical thoughts that just feed the emptiness. And it doesn't stop there. Other therapies like mentalization-based therapy and schema therapy can be really effective, especially if that feeling of emptiness is tied to issues with your sense of self. Medication can also be a useful tool, not as some magic cure, but as part of a bigger plan to help manage underlying symptoms like depression or anxiety that might be contributing. But here's the crucial thing. You can also start taking practical steps on your own, right now. A great first step is just to clarify your values, what actually matters to you. That becomes your compass. Then, try scheduling really short, meaningful activities, even if you don't feel like it. Taking care of your body, swapping out some scrolling time for a real connection, and even just a simple journal can give you clues about what helps. It's all about those small, consistent actions. That's how you build momentum. Now, let's talk about a huge piece of this puzzle, connection. See, emptiness absolutely thrives in isolation. So one of the most powerful things you can do is to intentionally build relationships and a sense of community. It's a true antidote.
So how do you actually do that? Well, group therapy or a peer support group can be a really structured, safe space to start. Or you could try engaging in a community activity, like a class or a volunteer group, something that builds connection around a shared purpose. Even just practicing small acts of vulnerability with people you trust can start to bridge that gap.
Okay, as we start to wrap this up, let's talk about next steps. Because understanding this feeling is the first part, but knowing when and how to get support is every bit as important.
And look, this part is absolutely critical. If these feelings of emptiness are ever accompanied by thoughts of self-harm, or if you find yourself just completely withdrawing from life, it is essential that you seek professional help immediately. Your safety is, without a doubt, the #1 priority. So, I want to leave you with a question to think about. Based on everything we've just talked about, what's maybe one small, consistent change you could make that might help you feel just a little bit more grounded? Because here's the most important takeaway from all of this. You are not alone in this feeling, not by a long shot, and you absolutely do not have to manage it by yourself. There is effective help, there are proven strategies, and there is a path toward a more fulfilling life. It's available.
Thank you for watching Cenario. If this video helped you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. For personalized mental wellness supplements, visit Cenario.com. See you in the next one.